an opening statement, which I read. And so it goes as, the qualifications of the members of the commission, the staff of the commission, and any consultants used are on file with the town and are hereby made part of each and every application heard tonight. The guidelines and procedures adopted by the commission are also made part of each and every application. Each application heard tonight is considered on its own merits and is not to be considered as establishing a precedent for any other application. The historic design guidelines have been adopted by the town of Sykesville in accordance with Article 6B 8.06A of the Maryland Code and follow the recommendations of the United States Secretary of the Interior. The Sykesville Historic District Commission follows Robert's Rules of Order with the exception that the chairperson votes. Okay, so this evening we're going to reverse the order just so that the third applicant does not have to stay as long this evening. And so, actually it's the fourth applicant, right? Correct?
There's 3 applicants, but the one applicant had submitted 2 applications.
Okay.
So
First up on our agenda this evening is applicant 2025-05 for a new hanging sign and window decals for 7566 Main Street.
yeah, so I'll just jump right in. So the first request is for this, it's a 22 inch by 22 inch, 2-sided, multicolor sign with the business name and logo. It'll be made from a wooden material. It was unclear if it was going to be a carved wooden sign or if there was going to be graphics applied to it, but either way, it will be constructed of wood. And the applicant did confirm that the sign will be placed on a new metal bracket. It'll hang 8 feet above the sidewalk to comply with HGC guidelines. And it'll also not project more than 42 inches from the front facade and will be set back at least 12 inches from the curb to comply with all other applicable guidelines. And again, regarding the material, the HGC guidelines state that the hanging sign should be constructed of wood, metal, or other appropriate material, so it does seem to be meeting those qualifications. For the window decals, so the second request is updated decal signage on the front display window. They'll be made from a vinyl material and will be replacing the existing graphics that are in the same location. So at the time of this request, we didn't have, at the time of this staff report, I didn't have the full dimensions of these signs, which I do now have. I had the dimensions of the signs, not the window, excuse me. So I do have all that information now. I was able to do the math based on the information provided in the application and then the size of the windows. Those signs will only be covering approximately 11% of the windows, and the threshold for coverage in the guidelines is 15%. So they are falling below that 15% threshold. As we've mentioned in other applications, we know the vinyl lettering is not typically recommended for applying window signage in the HGC guidelines, but they have been approved for other signs and they have become common in the historic district as of late. So, quick analysis, again, the requested hanging sign appears to comply with all the relevant guidelines so long as the Commission is comfortable with the proposed materials. And again, for the window decal signs, it's below the 15% threshold, and again, vinyl is a material that's not typically recommended, but can be approved if the HGC is comfortable with the design and style of the signs. So with that, you're just being asked to determine if the location, size, and materials for the requested hanging sign and window decals at 7566 Main Street are appropriate as presented, or offer any alternative suggestions for any potential concerns that the Commission has.
Thanks, Sean. Any questions or comments regarding this application? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve application 2025-05 for new hanging sign and window decals for 7566 Main Street.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The only thing I would add is it being vinyl, we should probably keep an eye on it so it doesn't fade over time, right? So if it starts looking,
like what's already there.
Yeah,
right.
So that's the only request I would have is,
okay. What are the other materials that
Are
are
approved,
approved or recommended?
So our guidelines typically for display window signage, really they recommend mostly painted on or like gold leaf, stuff that is can be difficult, practically speaking, to comply with. So the Art Commission has shown some flexibility with the materials on those signage, so long as it looks appropriate and it's maintained over time. And if it starts to fade or peel or something, it's quickly taken care of.
Yeah.
I'll take that way before it gets done.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised.
That would be what,
All right, thank you for coming in this evening.
All good. Yeah, that's it. So,
Absolutely. Thank
yeah,
you.
short and sweet.
We're
good.
Thank you.
You're welcome to hang out if you like.
Thank you.
All right, I guess we'll go back to the top of the order then.
All right.
Next, application is 2025-02 for replacement of gutters and downspouts at 7436 Spout Hill Road.
So again, I mentioned this to Chad before the meeting. The applicant did tell me ahead of time that they wouldn't be able to make it this evening, but was able to provide me all the information, so I was comfortable moving forward without them here. So for this, they're requesting approval for several items at 7436 Spout Hill Road. Just one item really. It's remove all existing gutters and downspouts, and then install 6-inch half round aluminum gutters and matching 4-inch round downspouts. So this house was built in about 1895 and it's considered a contributing building in the historic district. The applicable HEC guideline information is as follows. So shape, size, materials, and gutters and downspouts do contribute to the character of a roof. On slope roofs, half round gutters and round downspouts are typical features of buildings in Sykesville's historic district. The guidelines do also mention that aluminum or galvanized gutters and downspouts can be painted, even though we don't really deal with color. So pretty quick and easy. HEC is just being asked to determine if the materials and shape of the new gutters and downspouts are appropriate or to offer alternative suggestions. But staff does feel that the request is consistent with our guidelines and recommends approval of the application as written. And then there's some photos of, this is what is currently existing. And then this is an image of the proposed style and color of gutters and downspouts that they want to install.
He's doing it everywhere, not just on that one picture.
Yeah, it's going to be around the entire house, but I think that was just the best area he could get a picture.
Yeah, one note on it. Contrasting gutters really don't fit historic homes.
Mm-hmm.
That's an architectural nonsense piece. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah.
Gutters should blend in, so
But you can't.
we can't say a color, but we do have, I believe, purview over, sensible palettes.
So we don't have.
We can recommend.
We can recommend, correct, and I can certainly include that in if you want
Yeah.
to include that in the motion, and then I'll include that in the approval letter.
Yeah, I mean, he does include like a picture of a very like new age craftsman,
Right.
with that.
Yeah, it's just going to look out of place.
Sure.
It's going to look very HGTV, not historic district.
Yeah. So I can, and again, we're certainly allowed to make any recommendation.
So what's on there is almond or off-white looks like currently.
Yeah. So I think this is the typical, white, grayish style gutters that are pretty common.
Yeah.
So those aren't just faded white. They're.
No, they look like they could be dirty.
Yeah, I'm not
I
sure.
don't know if they're almond or if they're white.
Well,
Is there still
Yeah.
reflectivity language in pertaining to gutters? I know there used to be.
Nothing pertaining to gutters. I think a lot of the reflectivity language, and Carrie, you can also jump in if I'm making a mistake, is regarding furniture.
It used to be in the previous one
Yeah.
because I had to go through the gutter
Okay,
approval
yeah.
process, and that was a real concern.
It's a hot topic of the year.
Don't make them too shiny.
That was definitely one of the recommendations, I think, that went along with a lot of our previous approvals. I will say a lot of times it would be make it complementary to the house or the house style, so that could be something you could say instead of specifying a color.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, because I think that's sort of how we get around we can't dictate color, but certainly
Right.
include in the
I do
recommendation.
think it'd be better for him. He's gonna put that black downspout on that house. I think it's gonna stand out like a sore thumb.
I think we need to have a conversation at some point about color for the historic district.
That's something we can certainly
We
talk
have
about.
to talk about palette because I think we're kind of getting out of hand with colors and some of the. I think we need to tone it down a little bit.
Just wait
Yeah, we can talk about
The
adopting.
blue and yellow now.
We can talk about adopting
It's
A
almost
color
coming up,
palette.
it's coming up every meeting almost.
Yeah.
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 So it does seem like something, it's not, maybe not appropriate for us to tell them what color they have to use, but a palette that they have to choose from.
Yeah,
would be
just a
appropriate.
matter of make it work with the house.
Complementary to the house color.
Yeah, no, that can certainly be part of the or part of the approval and the recommendation, and I'll include that in
Yeah, 'cause,
the
I mean,
response letter to them.
we're painting our house soon, and I mean, we're gonna paint the gutters, to
Right.
disappear.
Yeah,
Because who wants to look at a gutter? That's just me, though.
The copper maybe.
Yeah. Well,
Something,
Yeah.
something with a little bit of.
I was
Yeah.
with Mike. I thought you couldn't use that.
Like a patina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you couldn't use the copper because it's shiny.
Right.
So I don't know where we're at.
I hadn't heard that, but
Till it changes.
in reading the guidelines, I don't, unless I
Right.
missed a section, I'll
Yeah.
certainly go back and look. I don't think there's anything specifically mentioned about
Okay.
reflectivity of the gutters.
No. All right, any other comments or is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve 2025-02 for replacement of gutters and downspouts. And just a note that the commission would recommend, something complementary to the house.
Not contrasting.
Yeah.
All right, is there a second?
second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye, opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next, 2025, same location, 7436. This is for replacement of a shed roof.
Yep, so I will skip some of the house-specific information, but again, yeah, it's to replace a failing metal shed roof. There we go, showing what it currently looks like, with new asphalt shingles to match the coloring style of the existing home. So asphalt shingles are a common roof material throughout the historic district. It's mentioned in the guidelines, and it is recommended to replace accessory building features in kind typically, but it's also important for accessory buildings to be compatible with the primary building on the property. And the applicant did explain that the material used for the existing shed roof, they said basically from their contractor, isn't readily available anymore. And that their contractor did recommend a material to match the house as their most viable solution for, and most practical solution as well for their shed roof. So although it is going to be different material, again, the applicant, at least in this case, they did want to ensure consistency with the primary building. So they didn't want to do something that would stand out too much for the shed roof. So again, we're being asked here to determine if materials for the replacement shed roof is appropriate, or again, offer an alternative suggestion. But considering that the applicant's contractor said that the existing material isn't readily available anymore, staff does feel that the request is consistent with our guidelines and does recommend approval as written. And obviously a suggested motion if HEC agrees or wants to change that up at all.
What is the existing material? Looks like metal. Tile.
It's some sort of metal.
It looks like metal shingle.
Yeah. But it looks old. The applicant said it's not like typical metal roofing that you see around, and what is, so what's here is
Yeah. So our
isn't
porch,
common anymore.
our porch has a different metal shape and everything, but it's also a metal that's not available anymore. It's turned steel.
Mm.
I mean, you can get it, but the only manufacturer that's left is in Austria, I think.
So what's the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah, so turn steel it's a tin coated steel rather than a zinc, rather than a galvanized. So it doesn't have a reaction to as many harsh conditions, the water, as many like paints and coatings and things.
Acid rain and all that stuff.
Yeah, so turn steel is great, but good luck. So that's what, if they're saying it's not available, that's what I would guess it is, because that's what we have. And we're getting galvanized because we couldn't handle getting turn steel.
Well, the last 100 years.
Yeah.
Quitter.
Hmm?
So what a quitter.
Yeah, that's me.
You don't have vacation time?
Just
to go
that good
out?
Austria.
Come on.
Yeah, let me just fly out there.
Any other comments? All right, is there a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve 2025-03 for the replacement of a shed roof at 7436 Spout Hill Road.
Okay, Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Last but not least, the most
Alright.
difficult of them all.
Yeah.
That's me.
2025-04, replacement of gutters, once again, hot topic.
All
On
right.
the rear of 7344 Springfield Avenue.
So, yep, so as Chad just said, replacing the applicant's requesting, actually, I should note before we start that Brian, the HCC member, is the applicant in this case, so he will not be voting on this matter. But he's requesting to remove the existing damaged gutters on the rear of their house, or his house, and replace with historically accurate half-round gutters as recommended by the roofing contractor. So we've discussed before, but this structure was built around 1902 and is considered a contributing building in the historic district. The HCC guidelines mention the shape, size, and materials of gutters and downspouts. Again, they contribute to the character of a roof. Half-round gutters and round downspouts are typical features in the historic district. And once again, gutters, aluminum gutters may be painted per our guidelines. So the HCC is being asked to determine if the request is appropriate. Staff feels that the request is consistent with the Sykesville HCC guidelines and recommends approval of the application as written. And then obviously there are some photos of damaged existing gutters, and then just mock-up of what is being proposed to replace them with.
This is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might get close to that. There's a lot of rot.
Okay. I don't think there's any questions on this, guys. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve application 2025-04 for replacement of gutters on the rear of 7344 Springfield Avenue.
Okay, second. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We did skip the meeting minutes from February 26th. I was not part of that meeting. So did you guys have a chance to review those minutes?
You can still vote on them so long as you reviewed the meeting.
I have.
Okay, so you're still allowed to vote on those minutes if you want.
Is there any questions on those meeting minutes? Okay, is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Make a motion
Okay,
to
is
approve.
there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Those minutes carry. Any town updates?
Hi, Commission. Carrie Kavalowski for the record and the minutes that I'm going to be writing later, in case I forget who I am. So this is a project that you all requested during our rewrite of the guidelines, and it kind of grew a bit and got a little crazy, and we're finally coming to show you what all has been happening. So this is historic photos and current photos of all the buildings in the historic district. So what we're looking at here on the screen is the Gatehouse Museum website. They have a landing page for the entire historic district with like a little write-up of the historic aspect of the town, the time period, what this project is also. And then Kevin, if you'll go to... So we've got only 3 up for now. That's going to grow. But each property will have its own page. There'll be a write-up of historic aspects of it, important architectural details, what it was used in the past. These are all old pictures of, I think we're at 7606 Main Street. A couple placeholders, that's actually James Sykes, I'm sorry, James Sykes, the founder of Sykesville. Those will be newer pictures, and then each property will hopefully have one of these. We're starting with the business district, because there's more record on what the buildings were used for, what they looked like in the past, and then we'll go up Springfield Avenue and the other little offshoot roads as well.
One request, can we tie in a map to that?
Yes, so there's a map on the homepage that will hopefully be linked as well. It's just the historic district map that's in your guidelines.
Yeah, but adding links to this.
That's pretty cool. That's exactly what we need.
Yeah, it's a neat project, so it's...
And our Gatehouse Museum curator, Adrian Smith, does have a request for you all. If there's any important architectural details on any of the historic buildings that you note that you want to like highlight, if you'll, put the list together, send them to Kevin, send them to me, anything like that, we'll get them to her and she can write up a little report on it on each page.
Well, can she give us a heads up of what building she's working on next so that we can comment on that?
Yeah, so she's starting at the south end. So
Okay.
She's done 7602, 7604, and 7606, I believe.
Yep.
And she's just going to work her way up Main Street from there.
Okay, so she's the holder, the gatekeeper of the website, I guess.
Yes, this is the Gatehouse website, gatehousemuseum.com, and it's just a tab at the top, so you all can go and look right now. It's live right now. And like I said, there's only 3 because there's a lot of records that she's wading through. She's doing a huge project on what they all were in the past. A lot of photos.
That's cool. I mean, this will be a great resource for us for anytime we need to pull something up to look at historic photos.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was the goal.
Will there be an access for us individually? In other words, will this be on?
Yes. Yeah, so the website is live now. Once it's full, and like if we ever get an application from 7606 or something like that right now, Kevin could even put a link in the staff reports that gets sent out to you all, so that way you could have that front and center. Not to put you on the spot there,
No,
Kevin.
that's perfect.
And I assume if there's any major renovations or something, we can
Mhm.
send updated pictures to her and she could update the website.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's the Warfield building that had the big windows taken out and put back in, so she'll have all of that info, all those pictures as well. Things like that over the years.
It's very cool.
Yeah, certainly a work in progress, but very neat.
Well, great. Anything else?
No. So, I mean, well, I will say, I know some of you might have noticed they've started work on the streetscape down at the south end. I don't remember if I mentioned this last month or how much I talked about it, but they're gonna be doing it in phases with the hope to be as little disruption as possible to Main Street events in the summer, as well as the farmer's market and things like that. So this is sort of phase 1 of what's gonna be, and they're doing the Baldwin Station or the Sykesville Station parking lot, as well as Baldwin Drive between Main Street and Oklahoma Avenue there. And the hope is to have all that done before farmers markets start. That way it doesn't disrupt them, and then sort of take a break, get through the summer season with Main Street, and then after that we'll start working on some of the actual Main Street improvements down there as well. But didn't want to have Main Street torn up in the middle of the summer again. We already dealt with that once pretty recently, so.
I do have one request. We have the historic district signs that are spelled wrong.
Mhm.
Can we have them taken down?
Yeah, so we were.
Like-
Yep, there you go, jump
Like,
in.
it's kind of embarrassing.
wrong.
They're spelled wrong.
They're spelled wrong. Historic District, I
Yeah.
believe. So that is part of the Gatehouse's Maryland 250 plan, which is the 250th anniversary of the country. Part of that is signage for historic districts, so she's making up new signs, and they will be replaced
Cool, great.
After paving.
after paving.
That was another thing we wanted to wait till
Yes.
get all that paving done.
Okay.
Yes,
With our luck, they would have been hit.
so. But it is certainly on the radar.
And it's my understanding that the gas station on Central Avenue, or Springfield, the owner is no longer in there, so that applicant for renovations there is no longer going to be valid?
I haven't, so since we approved their site plan and allowed them to move forward with the project, I haven't heard from them. They're not always the easiest to get in contact with, so I'll be trying to get an update from them soon. Because it was a tenant, they were leasing the space. But, for some reason, as soon as we approved the site plan for them to actually be able to do what they wanted to do.
Well, let's see what we can find out. 'cause
Yeah, I can certainly, I've been meaning to, it's been on my
I hate
to-do
for that
list.
building to sit in disrepair for
No,
another
we all agree.
20 years or
It's,
something.
yeah, it's certainly something that it deserves to be something, better than what it is. Even if that means, obviously just renovating it.
I mean, this past summer, there was a huge hornet's nest in the corner.
Yeah.
That was like thousands of bees, and somebody just, it's in disrepair.
Yeah. No, it is on my to-do list to reach out to them, but they've shown to not always be the most responsive system.
Yeah.
Wanted to.
All right, anything else, guys? All right, is there a motion to dismiss this meeting?
I'll make a motion to
Okay,
adjourn.
second? Second. All in favor? Aye, opposed? Motion carries, thank you.
Fishing tonight.
Always.